Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. I love Christmas movies. They can be so enchanting and charming. There's something about them that makes me feel warm and bubbly, gets me into the spirit of the season. But then you have movies that just want to exploit Christmas, make a little movie for a quick buck. Like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer the movie is an animated seasonal film set in Santa's village. It's about a reindeer called Rudolph who has a red glowing nose and everyone picks on him for it. One day Rudolph gets fed up of all the bullying and runs away from Santa's village. Rudolph's friend Zoe sets out to find him but ends up being captured by the evil Stormella, who plans to create a snowstorm to bury Santa Claus. If I was to describe this movie in one word, it would be cheap. It's such a lazy effort. The film does a pretty lousy job getting us to sympathise with Rudolph. Instead of making him interesting and likeable, they just surround him with an unnecessarily cruel society. So many characters in Santa's village are viciously mean-spirited towards Rudolph and his nose, including a generic cookie-cutter bully that we've seen a million times in films like this. Even his dad acts like a passive-aggressive asshole about his nose.
But you can't throw him out of the games!
Sorry, the decision is final.
But the nose problem isn't his fault. He was born that way. That nose of his was an accident.
I think the filmmakers went a bit overboard with the original Christmas Carol's lyric, all the other reindeers used to laugh and call him names. The film isn't even about how Santa's village learns to accept physical differences. It's more about Rudolph needing to prove himself. Heck, none of the characters ever apologise for being mean by the end of the movie. That is disgraceful. What kind of warped lesson is this film teaching kids? If people bully you for looking different, you have to try and impress them and earn their respect? That's pretty messed up. Plus, Rudolph's journey away from Santa's village isn't even that fun or exciting. He just meets two characters, then has to rescue Zoe from Stormella. That's honestly it. It's a pretty underwhelming adventure. The film is also narrated by a bunch of colourful sprites who represent the Northern Lights, and while I do think it's creative of the film to characterise the Northern Lights, the sprites themselves are very annoying. They obnoxiously sing forced exposition, and sometimes they randomly interfere with the narrative, just to make things a little easier for Rudolph. That's bad writing 101. I'm going to give 0 points to the content of this film. Rudolph is a really boring protagonist. The film spends so much time humiliating and bullying him for the sake of forced audience sympathy that it doesn't stop to develop his personality. He's just a typical nice guy who does the right thing. That's pretty dull. I do kind of like the Santa in this film. Sure, it's not a special or fresh take on the character, but he's certainly enjoyable. He's friendly and jolly. Although, it does bug me that he doesn't do enough to help the reindeers and elves except Rudolph's nose. There are times where he could have stepped in or stood up for Rudolph, but he doesn't. Stormella has possibly the weakest villain motive ever conceived. Why does she want to drown Santa in snow? Because she finds him too nice. That's the laziest character writing I've ever witnessed. Despite this, Stormella is still entertaining to watch thanks to her diva personality. She certainly livens up the film from time to time. Zoe is one of the only nice residents of Santa's village. She's very sweet, understanding, and respects Rudolph. However, she's also very stupid. You see, Stormella threatened that she would start a snowstorm if someone stepped on her bridge. What does Zoe do? Well, instead of letting a responsible adult go find Rudolph, she steps onto Stormella's bridge, making things worse and putting everyone in danger. She's not very interesting either. She's just there to serve as Rudolph's love interest and damsel in distress. Slyly is a sly fox. Yeah, the characters' names in this movie are embarrassingly chosen. They make the names in Woodland Critter Christmas sound creative. He's a cheeky and devious scamp who deep down has a soft side and takes comfort in teddy bears. I have to say that he's the most defined character in the film, and it is interesting watching him grow into a more decent chap as the film goes along. Leonard is a friendly bear, that's all I can really say about him. At first he's presented as a potential conflict, but then we find out that he's actually a nice guy. From there he tags along with our characters and just exists. He's there. I'm going to give 2 points to the characters in this film. The animation for this movie is dreadful. Despite being a theatrical release, it looks like a cheap Saturday morning cartoon, which makes the film look very visually unimpressive and less movie-esque. It's almost impossible to read characters' emotions because their expressions are lazily animated. I can't feel connected with the characters due to their soulless expressions and alien behaviour. All the jokes fall flat too because of the animation. It's too restrained, wooden and poorly timed to make the comedy work. The film also has the cheek to reuse clips for dream sequences and musical numbers instead of creating new exciting imagery. It's shocking how little effort has been put into the animation. It's painful and cringy to bear watching it. I'm going to give 0 points to the animation in this film. Kathleen Barr voices Rudolph. Barr is known for playing Kevin in Ed, Edd n Eddy, one of my favourite cartoons, but I will admit that I find her voice to be kind of annoying in this film. It's too nasally and high-pitched. It's really irritating to listen to.
You're wearing Zoe's pendant.
She just gave it to me for luck.
And she's my dough, understand?
She's not a trophy and you shouldn't treat her like one.
On your mark.
John Goodman is perfect as Santa Claus. His deep booing voice is so ideal for Saint Nick.
You must be Rudolph.
How'd you guess?
You look mighty cold, son.
Whoopi Goldberg voices Stormella, and she is entertainingly over the top. She's so silly and camp.
Then my ice bridge is closed. And if anyone from your village dares to cross it, I'll bury the North Pole in my biggest storm yet. I am talking hail. I am talking sleet. I am talking snow and a wind chill factor that will knock your thermal socks off, baby.
Miriam Saroy voices Zoe. She sounds very nice and pleasant, but there isn't much personality to her delivery.
I've gotta find Rudolph. Even if it means crossing Stormella's bridge.
Eric Idle voices Slyly, and he tries to put on this American accent, but it's distractingly bad. It sounds too fake, too forced. It sounds like someone English trying to sound American. It pains me to say this as a Python fan, but Idle's voice isn't that great.
What are you doing?
Still in the key to the dungeon. Now go back to sleep.
Oh, all right. Toodles.
What do you know? This truth thing really works.
Bob Newhart voices Leonard. Newhart is actually known for voicing Bernard in the Rescuers movies. His distinct, soft, stuttering voice actually sounds kind of nice to listen to.
I'm sorry we tried to trick you. It was wrong. We were just cold and hungry with nowhere to go.
Oh, well, why didn't you say so in the first place? I am Leonard.
I'm going to give 3 points to the voice acting. The music for this film is laughably awful. It tries way too hard to be noticed. Heck, sometimes it's even louder than the dialogue. It's like the score is jealous of the voice actors and wants to steal their thunder. A music score is supposed to support a movie, create an atmosphere, not distract audiences.
So I understand you want to be a flyer like your papa.
You wouldn't want me on your tune, sir. Not with this nose.
It doesn't help that it tries to create a musical sting for nearly every single thing that happens. It's such a noisy music score. There are also original songs in this film, and they are so cheesy. They appear out of nowhere, interfere with the pacing, and feel like forgettable filler designed to pad the film out. In addition, a lot of the characters have separate singing and speaking voices, which can work as Disney has proven, but not in this case. The characters' singing and speaking voices in this film are hilariously different from each other, Rudolph in particular.
Go ahead and laugh. Everyone else does.
I'm out here on my own to face the day alone. I need you to get me through the night.
I'm going to give 0 points to the music. To conclude, I think that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer the movie is a disaster. It's lazy, cheap, and very poorly executed. But you know what? I actually encourage you guys to watch this movie. Yeah, it's entertainingly bad. You've got to see it to believe it. It's like The Room or Troll 2 of bad Christmas movies. This movie has gained 5 points, which translates to 1 red-nosed strawberry out of 5. If you enjoyed such films as Edward Scissorhands or The Grinch, then I think you might like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer the movie. Dickington, bring me the next film I'm going to review. For you, sir. Splendid! In the next episode, folks, Rise of the Guardians. Now, Dickington, I would like to decorate my Christmas tree. Bring me the most fabulous tinsel that we have.
Of course, sir.
Mm-hmm.